Hello.
You all right?
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm okay, thank you.
Good.
All righty.
You
Nearly.
ready?
Yeah, ready. Yeah, so we've got next week and then we've got a break, which I think everyone needs. I've had a message from Max saying he won't make it tonight and he's probably going to do the course in his own time. I'm getting that feeling that like everyone is working through stuff at the moment.
Mm.
Um,
It's that time of year as well, isn't it? A little bit.
yeah, it's Scorpio season to the maximum this year. Apparently, we were playing loads of habits from like 2 years ago. So everything that we were working through 2 years ago in September is like being brought up again, and it makes sense for me.
I also feel like with everything having sort of opened up sort of post pandemic, there's a lot of people that are struggling like with their mental health, and there's a lot of like triggers and this, I don't know, there's a lot of people that I'm talking to who are going through different things, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's part of everything that's been going on, I suppose. So
absolutely, absolutely. I think we just take it one step at a time, really, don't we? And we don't push ourselves. We just do it as much as we can for everyone, really. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of messages from people just saying like, "Oh, I'm behind," and this, that, and the other, and I'm just saying, please don't worry, honestly. One thing I was going to check with you is meditation next Monday. It is, isn't it? Not today. Hello?
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Hello, can you hear me?
I think you froze there a minute. Oh, I think, are you there?
So did you. So I don't know if that's me or you.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can now. You just keep freezing.
That's weird. Hang on, I'm gonna just change my connection just to see if that makes a difference.
Okay.
Uh,
I was just going to ask you, okay, don't worry, you do it after.
yeah. Right. I don't know if this is going to make any difference being on this line, but just let me know if it's being really slow or.
No, I think you're fine. You're fine. You're fine now, but I don't know where everyone is. There's literally only Sam in the waiting room.
Oh, that's interesting. You know what? If there's like only one person, do you think we should
Yeah.
reschedule?
Yeah, yeah, I think that it's half term and it's knocking everyone, which is fine. So we'll just do this session next week, the same session, and just say to Sam, look, do you mind? Because I think people are just stopping in every sense of the word. But I did get the feedback that people wanted to carry on, but maybe I should have listened to the initial gut instinct about
Mm-hmm.
half term. Oh, there's Donna as well. Oh, and Rose.
Rowan just messaged too.
What's the passcode? I never know the passcode.
I don't need a passcode when I go log in, which is weird. Hang on, let me have a look. If you go on to your main Zoom page and you click on the meeting and you click edit, I think you should be able to see if there's a passcode there.
591 280 There you go. That should be it. Right. Okay. Let's go ahead then with free. But it might be that we just have a slightly shorter session.
Yeah.
And just go like walk through some of it with some of them in terms of how they're getting on, and we might. I think we should go fully into leader within next week, regardless.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. All right. I'll let everyone in, and then we'll have a bit more one-to-one time today, which will be nice. Hello.
Hi, sorry I'm so late.
Don't worry, it's half term. Everyone's running around like crazy. It's so funny, isn't it? How it just can knock us because it's just so much change and that routine. It really does. yeah, it really does kind of knock us sideways sometimes. But me and Lizzie were just saying we're going to kind of take this session today really slow. We're just going to go over some of the old stuff in terms of really drilling down the values, getting clear, and doing a real touch point on leader within, but not doing too much new stuff, just because of the nature of the fact that we're in half term and there's a lot going on. And also I've just had a message literally within the last 30 minutes probably, from like 4 people just saying they're either stuck in traffic or they just can't get here, which is just one of those things. So we're just going to kind of do a bit step back, cement some stuff, and then next week we'll do new leader within, and we'll have then a break after, which is in the midway of the program. So yes, how is everyone? I'm feeling a bit of like, oh, I'm glad I'm here, but yeah, what's going on? Talk to me. How's the last week been?
I'm not quite sure about the last week, but I've literally just pulled up on the drive after 2 nights away down in Dorset. So we've just, it's been a crazy couple of days, 6 families in a big house. So yeah, just a bit tired and a bit like frazzled.
It's all right, just you're here, and that's the main thing. Lizzie, I'm getting the feeling we should start with a bit of a grounding meditation. Does everyone fancy that, just to arrive? Let's just start with 5 minutes, and we'll just get into the room, get into the space, because it feels like we're all a bit kind of frantic, and we'll just then ease ourselves into that. That sound okay with everyone?
I was just going to suggest that.
Awesome. So as we do normally, guys, just shift off your cameras if you want to, and just get comfortable. And then, we'll just kind of arrive.
Okay, everyone, just get yourselves nice and comfortably seated, perhaps placing your hands on your knees or your palms on top of one another in your lap. And then I invite you all to just gently close your eyes. And as you gently close your eyes, let's just begin by arriving into the space. And as we arrive into the space, we're just becoming aware of our surroundings. We're just tuning in, and we're just going to park any worries, concerns, plans, lists of our life just at the door here for this session. And I'm sure you can come back to those at the end of the session. But this is just about being you, present with your breath and your body here and now. So just imagine yourselves just very gently just floating in this open space that you are seated in, and just imagine that this open space is surrounded in a pink mist, and this pink mist represents love, kindness, and compassion. And as you allow yourself to settle and float in this pink open mist, just notice how you start to feel a sense of softness. So just noticing the back of the head becoming soft, just noticing the back of the neck softening. Just allow those shoulders to soften, just to gently move away from those ears a little bit more. Just allow the arms to soften now. Allow the hands to soften. And then taking your awareness back from the hands up towards the neck. Let's just allow that spine to soften and to relax as well. Allow the muscles that run alongside the spine to relax and soften. And then taking your awareness down towards the pelvis. Allow this pelvis to soften. And allow the glutes to soften. Then allow those upper legs to soften. The backs of the knees are soft. And just noticing your base and your seat now. So you're being supported by this pink mist, but also just feeling that support of the physical chair or the ground and the earth wherever you are seated. And that support of the ground and the earth gives you steadiness, it gives you ease, it gives you security and safety here and now in this present moment. So continue your awareness just down the legs towards the feet. Just allow the legs and the feet to be nice and soft. So the whole body is soft now, just gently being supported by the ground and by this loving, kind, supportive mist. And then we're just going to ground into our breath. We're going to anchor into our breath as well. So I'd like you to take a deep inhale through the nose and very gently draw your shoulders towards the ears. And then I just like you to exhale it all out the mouth, releasing those shoulders. Again, another deep inhale through the nose, shoulders towards the ears. And then exhale it all out the mouth. One more time, nice deep inhale. And then exhale, allow those shoulders to drop away. And just notice on that final big exhale, again, just feeling into the softness of your body. And I just now like you just to bring your breath just to a natural, slow, steady rhythm. So just gently inhaling through the nose and then exhaling out the nose. Nice inhale through the nose and exhale out the nose. And I just want you to breathe like this just for a few moments, keeping it nice, slow and steady. And on each exhale, and just noticing the body becoming softer, becoming lighter. And with each exhale, just noticing the mind just becoming a little bit more steady. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling out the nose, inhaling through the nose, and exhale. And then when you're ready, just bringing your attention and your awareness and just to center for a moment to your heart space. Just allow the heart to be nice and soft. I'd like you to expand this feeling of softness from the heart all the way into your whole body. Allow it to expand out the body. You can use a visualization as well. Just imagine that heart expanding. And then when you're ready, feeling into the whole body, feeling into breath and into the outside world now. And then when you're ready, gently opening your eyes.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lizzie. I feel like we all collectively needed that. And welcome back, Sam. It's lovely to see your face again, because I know we didn't have you last week as well. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
Good.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much, Lizzie. And we're going to spend just the first 15 minutes just going over it, obviously, for Sam's purpose, because she wasn't here. Just a little bit more about values. We're going to give you a few situations that we can think a little bit about some values and how they might be playing out, and think a bit about the yeses and nos. But I'm going to go to you, Sam, if that's okay, because I know this isn't the first time you've done this work, but how have you got on with the homework over the last few weeks? Bear in mind you missed a week and things. How have you got on?
I feel like I have caught up. And actually values is something that I recently got into, but not through with someone. It was actually just something I thought about, and I was like, I've actually never sat down and done personal values. That there's things that I'm drawn to, but I've never actually been like, what are my values and how are they playing in my life? Are they playing in my life?
Yeah.
So I found this a really good, I'd already kind of wrote down what I thought some of my values were before the course, but this was a really good way to actually dive a bit deeper into them. Like, why are they my values? Like, what would that look like? How does that show up in my life? And then actually going into the scale of where are they at the moment, which is quite interesting as well. So I've really enjoyed doing this. I think it will really help me kind of on how to move forward and really using it as a reminder of if I'm not in alignment with them, then how is that impacting my life?
Got to change. Yeah, exactly. Talk us a little bit about one of them and maybe give us an idea about one thing that you maybe have to say yes and no to, and we'll go round just so everyone is bearing in mind, and we'll also share as well, because this bit's around, and I think you kind of gauge from the homework, it's a bit more about the kind of detail of like the yes and the no, because obviously there's always a counter offer to the value, or there's something getting in the way almost. And often getting clear on the no is easier than the yes, because you've got to clear the space first, right? You can't bring something new in if it's getting stuck with some old people behaviors or needs some boundaries being put in place. So thinking of the no first, it's actually quite useful, and we start to see, oh, it's really interesting, it's always that same situation or that same person. You know, that's a really interesting point to get to, I think.
I would. So do you want me to talk about one of them?
Just one of them, and a bit, and just bring it to life. So a yes and a no that relates to them.
So probably I would say I've been thinking a lot about my health lately, because I know I've been in times of my life where my health, and when I say health, that's like how I'm eating, how I'm moving my body, doing self-care practices that really set me up for the day. And I've had times in my life where I'm fully in that, and how much better I feel, and how much everything else is in more of a flow state, and more like I'm more centered and grounded if I've got, it's like the foundation.
Yeah.
But I've also found lately it's not been as alive as it normally would be for me, and I've been comfort eating a bit more, or not been exercising as much and stuff like that. And I also see the impact that has when I'm not doing those stuff as much, and how that just makes me feel more groggy and more like I don't have as much motivation, you know.
Yeah.
So really sitting with that, and then noticing since I've been home where I can easily be like, I think because we're meeting up and going for coffees and stuff like that with my family, and getting cake and stuff like that, it's just that there's not as much of a boundary of saying, actually, I don't really need this today. Do you know, it's just something like, okay, I'll just do it. So I think it's sometimes
really
around family, and around maybe sometimes when I'm feeling a wee bit kind of maybe just a wee bit out of sorts, maybe feeling a wee bit sad or something like that, there's definitely a comfort in food for me, or comfort in like, just eating more kind of sweety foods or salty foods or whatever. So I think it's an emotional response as well. Depending on where my emotions are, there could be a kind of underlying reaction to.
Yeah, that's so interesting. We make kind of associations, don't we, subconsciously, between, you know, emotions and then certain actions. So yeah, it's worth just keeping an eye on that, isn't it? And also sometimes it's kind of worth saying, today I'm going to allow myself that as well. It's not always about saying no, is it? But it's honoring the fact that you're consciously checking in. Oh, it's interesting that that's going on there.
Yeah.
And then choosing the response rather than just letting it play out subconsciously. I think that's what this is all about. It isn't about always saying no. It's just it's awareness.
And I think it's like the boundaries of having balance, like, and checking in with, is this just because I feel like doing it and it feels really good, or is it like a kind of underlying, I'm using it to maybe go away from an emotion, or, you know, is it a kind of distraction mechanism? So just having that awareness, I guess, has been really good. And and then how I want to kind of move forward with that, making that a way is a value that I do want to honour, because I know how good I feel when I am more kind of just doing those things that kind of help me feel more.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That energy that comes with that as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for explaining that. That really helps bring it to life. And I think a different day or month, we'd have a different response to that too, wouldn't we? And your relationship with that value changes over time as well.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Rona, how are you getting on? I know you were getting a bit confused with a few last week. How is that sitting for you now? After, especially if you've been on half term as well, you've had all this different stuff, different stimuli, so it's a different test, isn't it? Because you're not in the usual structure. So I think it's a great opportunity actually to have them thrown out the window and then almost land in the middle and, you know, make you rework some of that. Because actually sometimes when we're in the structure, it's quite interesting. It's a really different challenge, I guess.
I haven't got my notes anywhere near, but so yeah, I was struggling a little bit with some of them that felt more like these are mechanisms that I've adopted to sort of manage myself better, rather than them being actual values that I was upholding, and or recognizing that they were things like approval and need for certainty, I think, particularly. And I've done a lot of reflecting about the wisdom one as well. So wisdom was one of them, and about the importance of making good decisions and looking, like, sort of linked with the approval thing, I think, as well, is sort of when I recognize somebody in my life that I really rate in terms of their expertise or their ability to do something, their opinion, their approval of me becomes really important. But these are all slightly, like I said last week, slightly maladaptive sort of responses. And actually I went back through, struggling to think of the word, not justice, but like doing the right thing. It's like the wisdom, but it's not really, it's not quite that. It's an element of that. But I can't think what word it is in the values test thing.
It'll come to you.
It'll come to me. But yeah, it's sort of like a slightly, you know, like last week we were talking about, sometimes it's about exploring that sort of bit of a difference between two words which on the surface sound like they're describing the same thing, but actually there's a subtle difference. So I think the wisdom bit,
there might be something under that, and I think don't worry too much about the word at the moment. That's going to get you stuck. Just connect to the feeling and the behavior, but that will come like in time. But don't get too stuck, because that's blocking you at the moment.
No. So but the other, whatever the other word is, it'll come to me in a minute. Bloody menopause, I've got such brain fog. It is more about sort of, is it honor or doing the right
Honoring,
thing?
yeah.
That's what's really important to me. And I wonder if, because obviously one of the things, you know, it's interesting, Sam, you were talking about food and health, you know, going through those questions, I was sort of thinking, oh, you know, I should have a value in there around my health. You know, this is the thing that I'm struggling with, like losing weight. Why can't I lose weight? But for whatever reason, that isn't in there as a value. But actually doing the right thing, it is, I think, maybe is my way into trying to manage what I eat better, or going for that walk or whatever. It's not because I particularly value the act of being healthy or the state of being healthy. It's more that I know that that's, like, logically, practically, I know that that's what I need to do. So I should do the right thing, and I should, you know, resist the umpty bit of the cake, or the, you know, I should go and do that. I don't know if that's the right thing, but in terms of,
ask yourself what's the cost of not being healthy. That's quite a good question to then access the behavior, or the kind of whether the word's right. What's the cost of not honoring that value? And it might just give you a bit more clarity. But don't worry about too much about the words at the moment. I want you to just get used to how do you want to feel. Like, you know, if we felt like it was our best day and we had the, you know, the best day, like what would have been in that day, how would we have felt in that day, and that then will drop into the values. So try and if we're getting stuck on the values, almost let's go back to like the feeling, how we want to feel, and work back from there. There's two ways of doing this almost, but let's have a one-to-one in the next week, Rona, because I feel like I can help you sit with that, because it feels like you're doing too much of the thinking around this, which we all do. It's so natural.
It's hard to connect with a feeling.
It is, and we've never been taught to, right? And actually we'd all have a different name for a different feeling, so that's something we have to sit with and spend some time on as well.
To add to that, actually, because I sometimes struggle to articulate my feelings. So I sometimes try and work out what my energy is like in that moment. So, you know, if you're feeling very fatigued, that might say something about what feeling you're feeling inside, essentially. That can help you to connect that. So yeah, I guess in different situations when you're not meeting you're not honoring one of your values, just notice what your energy is like in that moment. Just start to pick up on those things a little bit more. It's just about becoming more aware of that and tuning into it.
Over a day as well, like we use a thought diary, you could use you know, Monday and Saturday, you could just like at 9 lunchtime and then the afternoon, just note like the energy level on a scale of 1 to 10. And again, it might then give you an idea of like, oh, that's so interesting that I get to that time or that day and there's a drop. So you can then maybe look at that in a slightly different way. Again, it's just another tool that you could use. With all of this, it's finding your own way. Cool, awesome. Donna, how are you, my love? How are you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. I do find the value stuff really useful, just in terms of kind of acting like a compass. Just I'm trying to find another job at the moment. I'm not very happy where I am, and I think it just really helps put things into perspective, particularly around the family value, which is really important to me with 2 young children. So that's definitely given me some clarity as to kind of the sort of job that I'm looking for and the number of hours that I want to work and the location. So I think that's definitely helping me. But I'm just really struggling to find something that kind of ticks all the boxes now.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think, isn't it amazing you get to be so fussy, right? Like you're interviewing them because you're like, hang on a minute, do you match to my values here? It's aligning. It's a great application process to go through. So you have your values, you have the job, and then you're like, do they marry? I love that, the way you're using that to then make a positive change for yourself. It's a great tool, isn't it?
It is. That's good.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to quickly go into just pairs. So one of you will be of Lizzie, one of you will be, I think, me or someone else. And I just want you to introduce one yes and one no around a different value, and then just talk through it, because sometimes doing that just one-to-one might give you a little bit more clarity. Maybe pick one that you're struggling with, because again, the mirror of like, oh, how about you try this, or this is something I use, can be really useful here as well. And then we're going to spend a bit of time getting a bit more familiar with our leader within and introducing that for the first time after. Okay.
I shouted upstairs.
Sorry, I've just done a switcheroo because the lady was talking and I was like, oh my God, I think I need to try and not do it actually during the same time as yoga because it just doesn't work coaching up there next door.
Yeah, I didn't realise how.
You can hear everything, yeah. It was fine last week, but I
And
think
even if, like also just for, if someone's in the talking therapy room, someone's in the office, you can really hear each other.
Yeah, it's quite, but we'll get there. It's all right. I'm luckily there's no one in here, which is good.
Kind of need to soundproof it, but just because if
Yeah.
if you're having counselling session,
You don't want to
and
feel
then
like
someone next door is writing a book,
yeah.
using the office space.
Yeah, that's why I come in for like an hour or two, but I don't think I'd be able to do a whole day just because it's coming in for the right reasons. I think like being around a nice space, but just being aware of like what you've got going on at the time really. Because if I haven't got a meditation, but sometimes I do a meditation for like 30 minutes, that wouldn't work here because obviously there'd be, but yeah, I'm just trusting. I'm like, whatever. But yeah, enjoy. It's nice to meet Claire anyway, bless her. I hadn't actually met her before. Yeah.
I just shouted up there as well.
It's all right, don't worry.
Excuse the hair.
You're fine, you look lovely.
I
Beautiful.
look such a bloody mess.
You don't, stop
I
it.
just can't be bothered. I look in the mirror and I'm like, yeah. Whatever.
Oh, bless you. We'll get there. Enjoy, relax.
Yes.
How did we get on, everybody?
It's funny when you just get sucked straight back into it.
Oh. Was it useful to have a bit of a mirror from the others, just in terms of does anyone want to share anything they worked through or anything anyone got any clarity on?
Not especially.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Lizzie, anything from you, I guess, in terms of values kind of for the third time, right? Because you've done this once for yourself, once as kind of an observer, and now you're kind of in it. How have yours changed over the last few months?
Well, it's interesting because I've gone through like a pretty big breakup of like a 10-year relationship. And when I started on the journey with Natalie, I was still in the relationship. So I'm now out of the relationship and I'm questioning a lot of things about myself and questioning my values. So yeah, a lot of reassessment. And I think after last week's session, I said to Natalie afterwards, I was like, oh, I think I need to do some more work on my values.
It just goes, doesn't it? They never are static. And I think as soon as it's a great opportunity, like I say, I do it monthly, with the new and full moons, but you could get to the first of the month and just have that Sunday just before the first where you're like, oh, I wonder if anything shifted, and it's constant, because ultimately with companies as well, we only really know about company values. They are reviewed at least, every year and shifted and changed. But for me, it's that whole monthly marker, because actually every day, every week, they should be kind of like a great tool to move us forward. And all of them, it's, is that supporting the person I'm becoming? Because it might be that you've outgrown one of them and you leave that in the past. So Donna, maybe a lot of yours now are getting you that job. But when you get that job, you might realize, actually, there's a few here that can fall away. But what do I want next? Is it about being committed and centered and grounding into that role? Then actually your values might then, do you see what I mean? So as the intention or the marker changes, they then all shift slightly, which is really interesting. So we'll come back to you with that question in mind. But I think what you're doing there is you're integrating it in a really practical way. which is really nice to do, because sometimes that's what we need to really get this, like it's all quite philosophical, but actually it sometimes needs a marker in time or a kind of an outcome for us to really see it works as well, because you can be a bit surprised, like, oh my God, I can get what I want if I'm really clear. You know, it's that whole manifestation piece around, we can manifest, you know, what we want, but actually we've kind of got to do it the first time and then realize, oh, it works.
Well, it's interesting because I was just, you know, we had our top 5 values, and I think last week I said one of my values was connection. And actually, like the last, like, to be honest, since I've moved, I've been connecting with a lot of people, like almost too much so. And I know that one of my problems with not with things that go against my values is not putting boundaries in with people. So meeting with a lot of people, and then people having expectations of seeing a lot of me and wanting my time and energy. And now I'm feeling like exceptionally drained. And that's so, in a way, like I've been doing my value of connecting with people, but almost like too much so. And then I've actually, like, don't know why, but actually with obviously practices that I do, such as yoga and meditation, that's all about grounding myself. And I don't know why I didn't put that down as a value, because like I really feel like that's something that I need a lot of in the moment. I need time and space.
It sounds like being connected has a counter value that is the opposite of that there, that's playing out. So almost you have, and maybe it's about you finding the word of like, oh, what is it when I'm not honoring, when I'm over honoring being connected, you know, because actually then you've got the spectrum where you can move between the two and be like, oh, where am I sitting with that? And I think that's why looking at that counter value on each of ours is really interesting, because it kind of gives you, anything out of balance becomes a negative impact on our life, isn't it? And it kind of can help you. So maybe just spend a bit of time thinking about that. What's the opposite of that? You know, does it have a feeling? Does it have a name? Getting clearer. Sometimes we have to go to the opposite extreme to then find where it lands in the middle. Same with you, Sam, around the health thing. It's about sometimes going to the extreme and then rebalancing, like, okay, it's probably not over there, it's not over here, but it's somewhere in the middle here that feels about right. That's what we learn through with our mind, through comparison and through extremes often, and then land somewhere in the middle. Awesome. Cool. Anyone want to share anything before I don't know how these calls go so quickly. It really scares me. We'll move on to just a little brief introduction, and I'll probably just share this part of the call with everyone else around just an introduction to the leader within. Because the next weeks of work is going to be around meeting your leader. So we call it your leader within or your captain. And the whole concept of this, I'm going to let Lizzie take you on a little bit of a, well, she's going to be leading this week, because this very much is her embodiment piece of the course, because it's very embodied, this bit, and it's a different tool. So you've got values there. They're quite kind of a practical tool. And then you've got the leader within piece that can kind of really help you in a moment connect to a certain energy that helps you either kind of shift perspectives or almost kind of like get to a specific outcome. So you can see how the two can interplay. One day you might need to check in on a value. The other day you might need to be in a meeting and have something going on where you need to really connect to that leader within energy. It's just a different tool that we're providing you with. But it's all about being completely and fully connected and in alignment to all our values at once, and almost a real feeling of kind of when we feel fully empowered, fully passionate, we're backing ourselves completely, and we have kind of like utmost confidence in where we're headed and who we are here to be, and I think it's really interesting to, like, firstly with this, think back to a time that maybe you might have felt like that. So is there a time in our lives where actually we can look back and think, yeah, like my leader within was like rocking the show there. Maybe you were, I don't know, I'm thinking back to when I sang with like Pink Floyd back when I was younger. I used to go to like musical theatre, but that memory just popped into my head there, because it was like, obviously it's like I'm doing awesome, like I'm literally like singing with this amazing rock band. I think I was only like 13, 14, and it's that whole feeling of like time stopped, that's kind of where we're getting to. And it's, first question to you guys is like just thinking a little bit, and don't worry about saying it if there's nothing that comes up, but even writing a few things down. Are there any memories that come to mind around maybe when your leader within was fully embraced and connected and in their full power. Because what we're going to get into over the next week or so is really connecting to who this leader within is. What do they have a name? You know, do they have a color that they wear? Do they is it a person that maybe you have in your life? We're going to almost bring about quite a physical or use a physical process to allow you to connect to your leader within in a day-to-day practice. So me and Lizzie will talk a bit about who our leader withins are. From our last group, a lot of them had people within their lives that they're elements of the leader within, or, you know, role models as well. But you'll kind of get a real practical tool to support yourselves moving forward. And then we'll look at your allies too. So there's going to be a little, you're building your internal tribe basically, because actually all this is about knowing it's all within you. And you can call on that energy, you know, in any situation. Anything that came up when I spoke a bit about being kind of in our full power, like tingling from head to toe with excitement, like full of life, full of energy, like anything that came up for anyone in terms of memories?
Yeah, something comes up for me a lot actually, through different conversations with people, and it came up again, and it was, I went to Burning Man about 4 years ago, and it was just like,
wow,
in my element. Like, I felt freedom is one of my values, and it's when I was thinking of freedom, I was like, when in a time in my life did I feel so free and connected? And it was there, and it was just like, I literally felt I was in another planet, and I felt connected. I felt freedom from dancing and music. I was just on this bit of land and dressed like Mad Max and danced my heart out. And I remember coming back from that trip, and for weeks after it, I just felt like so connected to myself. And like, I remember me and my friend had the same experience where, because we were working over in Middle East at the time, and we had to get up for early for work anyway, but we were just like waking up early really naturally, and not really caring about going to work. We were just like, yeah, it was just like everything just felt easy.
Yeah,
I was just, it always sticks in my mind. It just felt like
that's going to be so interesting when we go do the visualization and things next week, because it might be that you have that strong image around what you, one of your costumes that you wore or something, that actually becomes your image that you use. Because a lot of this is about the visualization element of actually using kind of meditation and visualization to get close to kind of like, yeah, how do they walk? Like, how do they stand? You know, what's that energy feel like? So that's really interesting. I'm interested to see how that gets clearer and clearer as well. But that's a really nice kind of frame of reference, isn't it? To actually, like, how could I bring back that feeling in my day-to-day life? Because there's elements of like bringing that into the now and breaking that down, because there's it's not like we can only experience that feeling there, but it's getting curious about like what about that time, and how can we connect with some of those things that were going on and use that. Yeah, interesting. And Rona and Donna, I guess, does this feel quite new? It probably does. I'm going to hand over to Lizzie here just to talk a bit about her perspective around this, because she very much is going to own this next kind of process of the next few weeks. But yeah, do you want to give a bit of an overview just around your perspective around this as well?
Yeah, I mean, as Natalie had mentioned, but I'll say it again, is that your leader within is that part of you that you're always connecting to in moments that you never quite realize. Actually, like, how often, as Natalie was saying, on how many occasions do you, with awareness, become connected to that part of you that is sort of really confident and that feels powerful? Like, if you think about on a daily basis, we're always, on many occasions, we're stepping into our power. And when do you become aware of that? So that's just first pointer, really, because I think we probably do it subconsciously or more than we think, but it's about developing that sense of awareness around it. Yeah. So really, for me anyway, the way that I've interpreted the leader within it is connecting to this inner resource, a tool. It could also be an inspiration. So the thing is, you know, there's so many different ways we can look at this. If it's an inspiration, it could even be someone that you look up to in your life. It could be a celebrity, it could be someone who's a cartoon, it could be someone in a film. It doesn't necessarily have to be what me and Natalie say it is.
Yeah.
So it could be anything.
Give an example, Lizzie, with yours. Talk a little bit about your leader within specifically.
Yeah. So I was just, so for me, a big thing that really has helped me is to connect with energy. So I talk about energy a lot. And so I find my leader within through, I connected with the Indian Hindu goddesses. My leader within is the goddess Shakti. So Shakti is the mother goddess of energy. So Shakti represents sort of love, light, compassion, energy, but she is also very much representative of a lot of different goddesses in Hindu mythology. And so when you're connecting with Shakti, you're connecting with different energies that represent different things. So we have lots of different faces and we represent, so dependent on the situation that you're in, when I connect with the goddess Shakti and say I'm in a stressful situation and I need to bring in a sense of calm, I'm going to connect with the mother goddess Shakti because she has this loving, light, soothing energy about her. So I would connect with her through a visualization, an image in my mind or in my heart as well. So that's one example that you can connect with them in. Another example, so I talk a lot about is which I'll go into more detail with when we connect with our allies, which are almost like an extension of our leader, or they're the crew essentially, is connecting with the body and our breath as well. They are also tools that we can connect with in the present moment to really help to give us strength in any situation, in any moment. So I guess a nice way of looking at this work as well is if you're finding it difficult to connect with a memory, a time where you felt powerful, how about bringing up a memory of a situation that you were struggling in and that you overcame that struggle? So can anyone think of a situation that they struggled in and that they overcame it, and what feelings arose within you in that struggle? Lots of food for thought there.
Yeah. You don't have to answer now, by the way. These are all just take away because you're already doing it. Like I pulled a card just before this class for any of you that like and understand cards, but it was you're already doing it. So that's why I'm just telling you. You're already doing this subconsciously, but it's about bringing some of these tools into the conscious awareness. So when you have a hard work meeting and there's a boss or a person that always triggers you or kind of doesn't communicate or something like that, you'll have your ways and your mechanisms to cope with those situations. But a lot of this will be subconscious. And I always say to people, but what if you could use that tool consciously? There's so much power in that, around the fact that actually you're doing it already. You're having your own, resilience. You're having your own tools to kind of support yourself. But what if you could observe a situation before it even happens, go into that, get into your energy, connect with that leader, and then go in and influence that outcome consciously? For me, that's so powerful because of the fact that that's an intentional process. And this is what we're doing here. You're already doing this. And that's a really great way to just look back at a normal week and think, where did I boss it last week? Like, where did I kind of just really need to give myself a pat on the back? Because those situations are always there. But actually, if we could use this tool proactively and intentionally, then wow, then we can change the world. Then we can really shift. And that's what this is all about. I think it's important, isn't it, Lizzie, for us to know that's already something we're doing. It's just about using some of these tools even more. Your leader within is like your biggest cheerleader, and they are actively supporting who you're becoming. So they are literally that person, that friend that's like always in your corner. They have so much belief in you and your potential. And it's connecting to that place, what's possible from that place with someone that knows deep down within their soul that they know that you're going to make it, and achieve. There's so much power in that, isn't it? And I think sometimes we can't give that to ourselves. It's hard to receive. And that's why we use this tool of the leader within to kind of allow ourselves to connect to that really powerful energy.
So yeah, like next week, when I'll be going through the visualization, is actually going to help you to connect with that leader within, to kind of create a visualization. And through the visualization, you're essentially manifesting that within you. And what again is also really powerful is I'm just trying to think of the words for when you say what affirmations, essentially saying when you say words, again, you're manifesting that belief within you, you're creating that sense of truth. So as Natalie was saying, we all have these tools already within us, but this is a conscious way of connecting with that. And that's really powerful, really, really powerful. So yeah,
and you're already doing it. This isn't new. And I think that's really important to say, because like sometimes I think with our previous cohorts, we've kind of been too new almost. And I think we've been searching for something outside of ourselves. But, if we realize, like looking back on the last week, like, what do I want to celebrate from last week? That'll give us those scenarios that we're already doing this. And that will probably give us our answer, so it's sometimes not looking for the new, but looking for those little wins that already are kind of going on all around us, really. I popped some questions in the chat box as well, because a lot of these questions will come back to time and time again with every module. And a lot of it is around, understanding what that leader within wants for you. A little bit about what do I need to know about my values? What do I need to know about my life purpose? And actually it's about gleaning information. And when you do the visualization, the journal prompts will be in the online course, just for you to really start to draw out, like, what are the messages that they're sending? And all these questions will really, really help you get to that kind of like physical tool where you've got actually a name or a color or some kind of object to support you in your day-to-day life. And it was really nice to hear, wasn't it, Lizzie, for the previous cohorts, that like some people had like physical like statues and stuff in their houses, or like certain things that they might have. I'm looking at the Buddha picture just behind you, Sam, that painting. Things like that were daily reminders, daily affirmations, where we can use that tool, shift our energy and connect back to our power. So it's starting to think about, how do I bring this through to my everyday life? And it might be a certain dress you wear, or a certain, necklace that you have that reminds you or connects you back to something special. So this isn't too kind of up here and woo-woo. We are going to be bringing it down and kind of like really grounding it into kind of our everyday life. Really, you're laughing. I go a bit woo-woo, but I try and bring it back as well. And that's where we're going to be getting to next week. So really doing like half an hour visualization, well, probably not half an hour, 20-minute visualization, where we'll all connect to that. You'd have done it once before as well on your own, because we've done it the other way around this time, and it was a bit too much going into that for the first time in a live scenario. So you would have already done it once. We'll do it again, and then we'll start to glean out a bit of information next week about how they dress, what they look like. There might be that certain colors come up. And it's all about really feeling into the energy of that, which is going to be super fun.
Is it worth me sharing my image of my leader now, or should we wait until next week when we've got a few more?
Would it help, everyone? Would it help? How is that landing? Let us ask you kind of how that's landing in terms of kind of going on the journey next week and going through that kind of work. Does it sound like it's something that you understand the concept with, or does it still feel a little bit hard to kind of get your head around? I feel like it's a bit different from values, which is kind of more logical. This is a little bit more about feeling. So let us know how this is.
It almost feels like an imaginary friend.
Yeah, I love that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I really like that. It's a really nice way to put it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I've been doing a little bit of inner child stuff recently. And it feels a bit like that as well, because like our inner child is always like, that part of ourselves that we need to kind of like really kind of like coax out of feeling scared or whatever. And it's about kind of like having that within you. And I really like that. And whatever relationship you have to it, it's something that's with us all the time that we can connect to. So I really like that. I think it's quite a powerful way of just knowing that actually they're always there, right? Yeah. And I wonder, Donna, a question to you, but did you have an imaginary friend when you were back in your childhood or anything? Because it's
no, I didn't know. No.
Well, you get to have one now. What about you, Rona? How's it landing? I can see your mind working there.
Yeah, I don't know if I tried to sort of force it too much or try to go like it's got to be the full, completely formed metaphor. But I've been doing some leadership training for the last year.
Yeah.
And in talking about what kind of leader am I, we talked about, aspirational people and the qualities that they've had and what makes them good leaders. And I've had a thing about Picard for quite a while now. And I think there's lots of the values and things about Captain Picard that sort of resonate a bit. I want it to be Janeway because obviously she's a woman and, all power to women in leadership, but it's not, it's Picard. and I think there's something really special about, I don't know if anybody else likes Star Trek, but about the fact that there's a serenity about him. He's calm and he does the right thing. It comes back to like doing honourable and prime directive and all that.
There's a wisdom there too. There's something about
wisdom. Yeah, he also has like a really cultured backstory that is really rich and kind of really part of his character, but he's not really anything without the rest of the team, without Data and Worf and Diana. And
we'll get onto that. That's a really nice intro for us and allies, because actually this person works in a collective like team, and it's about then pulling from, like we do in a normal team, in terms of a leadership team, pulling from other people's strengths and knowing we don't have everything within us, and you're going to be looking for other things outside of yourself because that's what you need in certain instances. Wow.
But I don't know if that's just too literal.
No, I think, Rona, that's perfect because it's a really practical way to look at it. And I think we're all going to do this really differently. Sam is going to do this quite differently because of the way she is in her feminine energy, a lot like Lizzie is, because Sam does a lot of kind of embodiment coaching. So Sam's approach versus your approach, Rona, is going to be very different. And that's really important for us to be able to see the fact that we're going to get to this in a different way. And I really like the way you're mirroring that with that leadership piece you're doing in your role. It's just going to give you a bit more time to really embody that a bit more and actually use that, pull it out, and really get curious about some of the detail about him. Actually understand just a little bit, understand that process on a deeper level, because you won't get the chance to fully embody that in the course. It'll just be used as a tool in quite a different way. So I like that we've all got a different way of getting to this. I say sometimes it's someone in our lives as well, or role model. It can be really, really different. But I think it's nice that you guys have had a bit of an intro, because it can be quite a hard concept to get your head around. And I will send this video to everyone else, just because when you go do the work, that visualization for the first time, like it is the idea of this and how it can be used, is quite an important tool just to kind of allow you to explore it really. But yeah, there's so much beauty in the fact that actually this is, this is something that it'll be a part of us once we kind of bring it to life, that we'll never almost leave. But again, like anything, it will change as we change, as we become different things and change and evolve. Our leader within will slightly, have characteristics that die down or dial up, depending on what we've got going on in our lives as well. I think I was saying, Lizzie, last time that my leader within has changed quite a bit, because it used to be quite in the masculine energy about driving, and it had a stake in the ground when I first saw like the image. And now it's a lot more in the feminine, and like flow and peace are the words that come around her a bit more. And it's just because of my journey, because actually I'm realizing that in order to make a real difference, I need to be in the flow rather than pushing, and that whole kind of like, I don't know, work hard, play hard, like belief system that I adopted, you know, like we do from the world. But actually I realize when I'm in my feminine and I'm at work, like I make so much more of a difference from that place. So again, you can just, we use the kind of masculine to feminine scale here, and kind of see it's all about kind of pulling from both, because there's important elements to both of those that we want to integrate. But we only really learn the masculine in our society. We don't get taught much about the feminine energy and how to kind of like lean into that. But then Sam and Lizzie are very much more on that side. So it's funny how we're all different.
To add to that, actually, I was going to say as well, because I have used this as well, you can also use your future self as your leader within too. So something, you know, if you know there's certain things that you want to work towards on yourself, like I've done that, where I visualize myself in the future and how do I look then, that could also be something you could work with as an option too.
Yeah, and what we'll do after next week is we'll talk a little bit about specific examples that you guys have brought your leader within into your life. So again, this is about staying quite conceptual, about just meeting them for the first time, connecting with how that feels. And then like everything, we'll then integrate it. So we'll look at, okay, Rona, tell me one time that you and your leader within energy this week, and tell us about what happened. And that's about actively using it, because that's two very different things. Being aware of it, connecting it to it, and then using it to then actually influence an outcome or change something in your life, and go into it with that intention. So we'll go through that process over the next few weeks of just testing. You know, it might be that we create a situation like we did with Lauren last week around Carol, around her neighbour. We might create a situation where actually it's a bit scary, but we're going to like hold each other to account around, actually there's a big board meeting and we're going to have to take a different approach, or I'm going to use my leader with energy, right? So it's about really grounding that in and bringing that to life. And that's where each other and the accountability helps there as well. Awesome. Interesting. It's different, isn't it? I told you it'd be full of really different tools. And this is our second one, month 2. And then we have our life purpose stuff at month 3. So yeah, on that note, I think we're going to leave it there. I think that's the best thing to do, isn't it, Lizzie, rather than do a visualization today. I want you guys just to spend a bit of time on that homework. There's quite a few. There's only one visual and there's a lot of journal prompts. Use the stuff that's relevant. Don't feel like you have to do everything. And then next week we'll come back and we'll start to explore, you know, what's cropping up, you know, maybe putting some names to things, connecting with some of the detail. And then pushing you to think a little bit about how you're using your leader within in your day-to-day lives as well. And I will catch up with everyone else just that wasn't on the call, because it's quite a conceptual thing that we need to probably just give people an intro to, because you'll kind of go into the module and it's got a different feeling to values. So yeah, we'll be here next week, and then we're having a break on the 8th, which is right in the middle of the program this time. So we've just kind of done it that way because of Christmas. But yeah, any questions on that? Anything that doesn't make sense, or anything else that you guys want to ask about? Because it's a smaller group today, so anything that you guys, yeah, we're here for you. Please, is everyone okay on Slack now? Are we connected? We're getting all messages and things. Yeah, cool, amazing. And like I said, like, do reach out, because I've got having a chat with Sam in the morning, having a chat with Carol on Friday. If there's anything just to check in on, if something's not landing, please reach out, because that's what we're here for. Lizzie, anything from you that I've missed?
No, I think we've covered everything this evening.
Amazing. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of half term, everyone. Enjoy Scorpio season. For those of you that don't know, Scorpio season is all about like resting, reflecting, So this timing of like this module is really fitting, actually, I think, because it's really interesting time. So read a little bit more about that if you're interested in it. And yeah, don't struggle if you need support. We're here. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Roni, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask what the cards were that you said you pull.
I'll send a picture of the 2 decks that I've got. One's a Moonology, because I'm obsessed with the moon deck, and then the other one is Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light. I like Rebecca Campbell, but anyway, cards generally, they can just help you connect to your intuition a bit more. So if you're like maybe needing guidance about a situation or something like that, you can use cards or a deck of cards just to like ask a question and then help get some guidance on an answer. So it's kind of quite a spiritual tool. Yeah. Sacred
Journey journals for a number of years with their cards.
Yeah.
And found it really
another
helpful.
tool. Some people find it a little bit kind of woo-woo, really, but I think it's just really nice to use sometimes if you just need a bit of inner guidance, because it's all about helping you connect to your intuition, because you know the answer, but we're often connected. So the leader within is kind of like us in connection with our intuition, with that inner knowing, and that's what this course is all about, building up the inner peace, because we go on the external journey through the world and trust everyone else's judgments and beliefs, but we never really check in and ask, how do I feel about that? How does that sit with me? And that's what we're building, the intuition muscle. That's what this work's all about, but it takes time.
What was the name of that lady you just
Rebecca
said?
Rebecca Campbell. She's amazing. I'll send you the picture of the card and the and the deck. But again, it might be worth just having a little look at using kind of something like that to support you as well. Awesome. Okay, well, like I say, me and Lizzie usually hang around for 5-10 minutes after, so if anyone wants to stay, ask us any questions, please do, and if not, we will let you go and enjoy the rest of your half term, everyone. Well, I think Donna, actually, are you off now? Are you back now? Because I think you had a different half term to everyone else, didn't you? Were you last week?
No, we're this week. Yeah, Derbyshire's this week. Yeah.
Oh, enjoy. Yeah, and I hope you get out to do some like lovely things and the weather stays good too, because that always helps.
Let's hope
so. Awesome. All right, see you guys soon then.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Hey, love.
Hello.
You okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay today?
I am, yes.
Good.
Yeah. Do I seem as if I'm not okay?